Kyler, the trade deadline is a week away, give or take, and the Cincinnati Reds, despite the last couple games, are above 500 still and do have a chance, a non-zero chance, and really a good shot at making the playoffs this year. Today on Reds Access, we're going to dive into trade targets, big splashes, little ponds, and how we can make the Cincinnati Reds better before we hit August. Welcome to Reds Access, your weekly Cincinnati Reds podcast, going over Reds games, Reds news, and more. As always, your host, Collin and Kyler Osterberger, here to talk about the Cincinnati Reds. And Kyler, an exciting time of the year for baseball fans. Probably no more exciting day than opening day and playoffs for the Cincinnati Reds. I wouldn't know much about playoffs lately, so opening day and the trade deadline coming up.
Yeah,
we wanted to do a special little episode discussing our top trade deadline targets, starting at big players and going into starting at small players rather, and going into maybe some big splashes. I've got a bunch of big splashes here, are really solid players if I could help the team. But Kyler, you said that you identified a few people that honestly might be a little more realistic for the Reds to target that either way can make the Reds better in the short or long run.
Yeah. So I feel like the main or most important spots we're looking at it upgrading is going to be bullpen and outfield, and I feel like that's pretty known across all Reds fans. So I did add 2 arms on mine that I wouldn't say are big splashes or anything like that, but I did put Jake Bird from the Rockies. Rockies are sellers, so I don't think we would have to give up anything top tier in a sense. But he's got, I think, around 2.6 ERA, 2.68 ERA this year. And I think it would be a great way to help us in the later innings. Just adding a little bit more depth into that bullpen and not having to give up too much for it. I don't know if you've looked into Jake Bird at all, but I think it's a realistic trade. I think it can help our bullpen and not give up too much in return to pull something like that off.
Yeah, I think we need to identify, first of all, like who the Reds are willing to trade. For me, there are only a few prospects that are not tradable. Those would be specifically Alfredo Duno, the catcher in low A right now. And the only other prospect I could think of, it's Sal Stewart. And Sal Stewart will be in the major league sooner rather than later, so I know he's not going anywhere anyways. But Edwin Arroyo, Cam Collier, Hector Rodriguez. On the pitching side, Chase Petty, Jose Cuna, guys that you think of that are top prospects for the Reds. Kyler, I don't know why we're holding on to them if they can make our team better right now by getting somebody that's right now ready. Now, I didn't look into Jake Bird's contract details. Are you pre-arb eligible? So he's not. So we'd have 4 years of team control receiving him. So you get a guy like Jake Bird, the 4 ERA, but obviously a workhorse, which we need another because you look at what's his name? Oh my God, Scott Barlow. Barlow's been really good for the Reds this year, but we are using him every day. We need another guy who can go out there and eat innings. So if you get a guy like Jake Bird, that's awesome. But what kind of value be willing to give for a guy who's a league average to above league average? Yeah, just above league average pitcher. What kind of value are you willing to give for a guy like that, Kyler?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that with Colorado being sellers that we don't have to give up anything crazy. But, I don't even know where I would start with. Probably a prospect. If you have an idea of who you would think is worth trading for Bird, but I looked at it as like a way that, like I said, they're sellers. Hopefully it's something we could maybe pull off that's realistic and also at the same time not give up too much in lateral for it.
Yeah. you're going to have to give up some talent to get anybody. And I think Reds fans have a tough time accepting that sometimes.
Yeah.
But, a high-value reliever, I actually chose Griffin Jax as my guy, which if I go to Jake Bird here and pull Griffin Jax, they're pretty similar guys. They're really similar guys, actually.
Yeah.
The work that I did on Griffin Jax, I thought getting rid of somebody like a mid-level prospect, like a Carlos Jorge or a Jay Allen, maybe, or a Tyson Lewis, who is a guy, by the way, who is very, very, very high on, but is young and not proven yet. One of those guys, maybe thrown in with a AAA reliever, might be able to get a guy like Jake Bird. And so that's something I'd consider entirely acceptable, Kyler. And I think it's a good choice on your part. I think it makes the Reds better. I hadn't really looked at the Rockies much. I know they're sellers, but for whatever reason, I just hadn't looked at them. And I think that's a kind of a good find there to potentially bring the Reds some innings eating, which was very badly needed from the bullpen.
Yeah, no, I think that, like I said at the beginning, I think the bullpen and the outfield are like the two main areas that I don't think any Reds fan would disagree with that we need to upgrade.
Yeah, look, for a second, let's talk so what positions are needed, right? We have one of the worst outfields in baseball, and
Marte started in right field the other night too to see how that would go. So,
and that's, I think, trying to make that better. But right now, we're throwing out Gavin Lux, who's exactly what we thought he would be, a league average hitter, and TJ Friedl, who's hit a cold streak like nobody's business since the end of the break.
Yep.
We need guys to go out there and play offense in the outfield. We also need guys in the bullpen. Bullpen's been okay, but we're going to start having injuries because they're using the same guys every other day because they have to, because we need to have a couple high leverage guys. I guess we'll stick to the bullpen for a second, Kyler, and I'll go over. So I mentioned I'd talk about Griffin Jax. Again, almost exactly the same. I have less thought of walk rate with Jax, which is my one concern with Bird. Jax only gave up 10 walks this season in 43 innings. Now, contract info for Jax, one less year of control. But you'll see here, I mean, they're not paying him. The Rockies aren't paying him anything. I'm sorry, the Twins aren't paying him anything. Now, the only difference, Kyler, with your point is that Jax is on the Twins. The Twins are not a team that is not competing. The Twins are a very similar point to ours. I don't know if you can hear the guy doing landscaping outside. I apologize.
Okay, no, I have a little gnat that keeps landing on my computer screen, driving me nuts.
So a guy like Griffin Jax, man, I think also can make the team much better. We probably have to give up a similar package for, even though he has a year less of control, but not a rental. And that's the most important part, is that these aren't rentals. These are guys that we're hoping to make the team better in the long run. And that's the Reds' MO. The Reds very rarely trade for a guy, Kyler, that they can use for 3 months.
Yeah.
The Reds are about sustained growth and sustained championship winning. And, so you see how that goes. But at the end of the day, that's what they stay. That's their model. That's their MO. That's how they operate. And so a guy like Jax or a guy like Bird, I think, could be better. But a more high leverage guy, Kyler, that I looked at and that I think Reds fans will remember quite well will be Aroldis Chapman, having another amazing year. For the best year he's had in 9 years, truthfully. And Kyler, he looks like he's 25 again. And it's time for him to come home. He's 37. It's time for him to come home.
I agree. I love Chapman. I've always had a little soft spot for him. But I like Chapman. I think that the problem is what are we going to have to give up to get Chapman? That's what worries me, because he's 37, 36. I mean, he's getting up there in age. What are we willing to give to bring Chapman back here? I think that's like the sore subject of if that trade would even be realistic, or Nick Krall would even want to do, kind of thing.
I would give up a guy who's not done much this year, who's a top level prospect, like an Edwin Arroyo, and maybe like a Chase Petty, like an Arroyo Petty, or an Arroyo Reese Hines, or an Arroyo. Man, if Louder was healthy, I would say louder. I mean, I would give up a guy that is a known bottom tier major leaguer and a potential top prospect. I think would be able to get Aroldis Chapman. And I went into ChatGPT on all my guys that I wanted to bring today, and I asked them what they should give. And ChatGPT actually came in and said, "Oh, well, you only need to give up Jay Allen and Jose Franco, who are both low level." They gave him a low rental value tier. That's just not true. Aroldis Chapman's having one of the better seasons in the MLB this year. But this right here, and having a flame-throwing lefty in the back end of the bullpen, Kyler, would be monumental to this team.
Yeah, I agree with you. Especially a lot of those games that have been really close, like those 1 or 2 run games. I think Chapman could really bolster and turn some of those losses into wins that we were seeing earlier in the season as well, which I know you can't obviously go back and change, but I think having Chapman in the bullpen earlier in the season probably would have helped us collect a couple more wins that we should have had.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that
I don't know if you saw there's kind of like an analysis. I don't remember. I picked it up in the Reds, like Reddit. And it's kind of going into another guy that we'll get into here in a minute. But basically, it seems like the Reds are, and I'm trying to find the exact line that I want to read. So as much as a bold move would behoove the Reds, they're likelier to go for the half measure route, operating for a bat and relief market through incremental upgrades and hoping that Terry Francona can sprinkle his pixie dust downstate the same way he did in Cleveland for a decade. So I think the Reds are always going to be the Reds, and I just don't know realistically if we're willing to go out and grab people like Chapman or another person we're going to get into in a minute is Duran with Boston as well. I just don't know if Kral's going to be willing to move prospects to like go out and make that big of a splash.
Well, and to that point, he's already says he isn't. He's already said he is not. He's already gone out and said, we don't want to give up long-term success for short-term gain. Like what, first of all, what long-term success?
Because we've been playing this game for the last however long. And I mean, prospects don't always pan out. We make bad trades and sign bad players, and that's the history of the Reds. So I feel like if we can give up prospects now for someone that can actually make us compete, I don't know why the Reds are just so against doing that. I mean, obviously the way we've been doing with collecting prospects, building them through the farm league and pulling them up, it's not getting us to the playoffs. And yeah, so.
Sure. 100% agree. Let's talk about Jarren Duran. Let's switch over to, I don't think I had any other pitchers to talk about, Kyler. I think Chapman, Bird, Jax are guys. Obviously, we agree we're not going to go out and get a starter. First of all, I don't think Chapman's he's 37 on a 1-year contract. I don't think we're going to have to give the world to get him. But I think Chapman is a guy that you'd have to be going all in to target.
Yeah.
Because you are going to give up something for 3 months of a guy. And so for that, I just think that that's probably not what the Reds are going to target, just like you said. They're not going to target a short-term rental or they're going to look for the growth, getting better while having control.
Right.
So on that note, let's talk about Jarren Duran, the first hitter we'll talk about. Then I have another kind of not highly talked about positional player, outfielder, and then we can get to some of the bigger names, I think, after that. But Jarren Duran, free agent in 2029, ARB eligible 26, 27, 28. 28-year-old
talk is if someone like Duran, it's going to involve a trade probably around like Lodolo and some prospect. Like it's going to be probably a pretty decent package to pull someone like Duran over.
And he's having a down year, but Kyler, Jarren Duran has had multiple very good seasons. He was an all-star last year and finished top 10 in AL MVP voting. 21 home runs, 14 triples, and almost 50 doubles.
Well, we need someone to boost our offense, and especially an outfielder. It's just kind of like a double win in a sense for us.
Now, here's my concern, Kyler, is this right here.
Yeah, left-handed
pitching. Jarren Duran in his career is a 209 hitter with a 565 OPS.
Yeah.
Do we need another left-handed bat that can't hit left-handed pitching?
It's true.
And I only ask that because we have guys, Kyler, that are league average right now. You are definitely getting better, Jarren Duran. Don't get me wrong. You are getting better, Jarren Duran.
No, but I see where you're going with, like, you kind of put a Band-Aid solution on one fix, but there's still another leak kind of thing.
So let me show you a player, Kyler, that sits against right-handed pitching because he cannot hit right-handed pitching no matter how good it seemed a couple years ago, but he's one of the best hitters in the league against left-handed pitching and an elite tier outfielder.
I knew where this one was going.
Yeah. They show Louis Robert.
I just don't think the Reds are going to be willing to trade what it's going to take to get him. There's no way I think Crawl would pull this trade off. That's my only issue.
It's a rental. This is signed through this year. It's a rental. We would have to. I think we were trying to trade for him earlier in the year. They were saying we just couldn't come to agreement on them eating part of the contract, right?
Yeah.
But we have a team option for 2 years. We have to pick up for $12 million a year, which is good. Kyler, or $8 million a year rather. But Kyler, let me show you this really quick. Versus left-handed batting this year, 979 OPS.
That's what we need.
In 67 at-bats, 5 home runs, only 18 strikeouts, 979 OPS. However, versus right-handed pitching, 524. But you know what, though? This is okay. This is okay because we have guys that are league average from the left side of the plate. We need a right-handed hitting outfielder to come in and win us games. And we need a guy, like in my opinion, Luis Robert, who his value, by the way, Kyler, has never been lower. It's never been lower.
Yeah.
Than right now. I think we can go get him. I think we should go get him. I see no reason why we should not go get him, to be completely honest with you.
No, I agree with you. And I like the idea of having him. I just don't think, with what we know of the Reds and the history of trades we've made, I just don't know if they're willing to do that. But yeah, I agree with you. The right-handed hitting, for sure. And I didn't really look into Duran's left-handed stats as much as you did, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's definitely, like I said, kind of you're fixing the getting an outfielder that can hit, but you're kind of still missing the small, he can't hit left-handed. So yeah, I think that Robert would be a good acquisition. Just will the Reds be willing to move people for it?
Well, and that's the thing. Is so again, I asked ChatGPT what it thinks I would need. ChatGPT says we would need to trade Edwin Arroyo, a guy like Rhys Hines, so Will Benson, Rhys Hines.
Yeah, I know Benson is like a big probably trade block target just because there's so much ceiling to him, and
Chase Petty, and lastly, and this is before this season, so Abbott's not tradable right now.
Yeah,
but I would say a guy like Lodolo. So they're saying Edwin Arroyo, Chase Petty, Hines Benson, and Nick Lodolo for Luis Robert. And they're going to have to give some serious money up for that too. Also going to have to consider his 2-year options. They have team control, like you said, through 29, or like I said, through 28, I believe. So, I mean, the guy you can go out and get, right? You just have to be willing to. That's probably the biggest haul back of any guy we'll talk about, unless you have somebody bigger.
No, yeah, he would be. Duran was my highest, but yeah, Robert Jr. would be probably the biggest trade package we would have to send to pull something like that off.
Well, let me show you a guy, Kyler, that is right in between the two of them. That's Kyle Stowers. He's 27. Kyle has hit 22 home runs this year in his first full season starting in Major League Baseball. Off from a year where last year only hit 186 for the Marlins, but he put 306 for the O's, but still no power. And all of a sudden this year, he has figured it out, man. 22 home runs.
Don't you think they're going to want something that the Reds are just not willing to trade for, just not the sustained success that the Reds would probably be looking for to be trading? I'm sure that the Marlins are going to want something in return.
I think we can get Kyle Stowers with a similar package to Robert, toned down a notch, and Kyle Stowers is under team control until 2030. This right here is a big splash candidate. It has Reds written all over it in regards to team control.
Yeah, getting someone for long-term success.
Now, he's a lefty, as most guys are in the outfield, but he's a lefty who hits a 290 clip against lefties.
Yeah.
He doesn't hit for any power. Hits for no power, actually. But 22 home runs from the right side. But listen, this is a guy you can have a lot of every day. This is a guy who hits better on the road because Marlins Park is a big ballpark. This is a guy that I think he has the opportunity, Kyler, to be an absolute animal.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I didn't even think about, I'm glad that we kind of brought our own, instead of normally working together like we do, we kind of brought our own prospects into this and blindly. So yeah, I think that would be a great acquisition.
I would trade Will Benson, Cam Collier, Chase Petty.
I was going to say Petty.
Collier and Lodolo, Benson, Lodolo, Petty. However you need to do it, I would trade a haul for a guy like this.
Yeah.
I would figure out the back end. I'd figure out who's going to start games. They have that Bell guy in AAA. I'm going to look up re-sign just because I want to find out what this guy's name is. I know re-sign has played in the minors this year. Sorry, I got to find this guy now. Brian Van Bell has pitched a couple very good games for the Reds AAA team this year and great games for Boston. I wish there was like a last couple games played. Is there splits on? Oh, there is. Cool. So this is his last 5 games. He had a blow-up game here, get 5 runs, but 6-0, 6-2, 5-2. This is totally doable for me. This is a guy who's also young. We got him on a waiver claim from Boston, I believe. I don't know if we can trade him, but I know we can have him make some starts until Hunter Green comes back.
Yeah.
And with that said, I think we're totally okay to shop a guy like Lodolo. I'd really like to get rid of a guy like Martinez, but the trade value is not there.
Right.
So shop a guy like Lodolo. See what we can get. I mean,
yeah. I think Lodolo has been like the main name on packages that I feel like the Reds would be willing to move in a trade. But going off of Stowers, and I feel like this is like all over Facebook, Reddit, anything Reds, is Gino doing a rental with Suarez and boasted the offense.
Stealing my thunder.
But I mean, I think every Reds fan is literally talking about this as we speak now as a short-term rental, bring them on and start competing.
Eugenio Suarez needs to come home too.
We need the power, dude.
They say Daddy's home.
But yeah, Gino's everywhere, dude. Everyone's talking about go out, get Gino, short-term rental. Shouldn't have to give up anything like crazy, probably mid-tier. I'm not against it though. I kind of like the idea.
But he hits home runs, dude.
Yeah.
He strikes out a ton, but he also hits base hits. I mean, he's not like a 200 hitter. He's a 230 to 250 hitter.
Yeah, but he scores. We need the offense.
And put him behind Ellie De La Cruz and watch Ellie De La Cruz eat.
Yeah.
And put Austin Hayes behind him.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you have a really, really good lineup. Only issue with Gino is he doesn't hit left-handed pitching either. Yeah, but hits home runs off him.
Yeah.
And Gino hits better at home, which is so surprising for Arizona. It's such a big park. I think you put him back in Great American Ballpark. I think he goes for 50 home runs again.
Yeah, he's crushing for sure.
I think that even though he is a rental, Kyler, I think that
I think he can put us over the hump. I think that's the big thing, is getting us over this hump.
Well, I think we'd have to give up a whole lot of capital to bring a guy like Gino away from the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks are right where we are, basically. We're basically neck and neck with each other. And he's a vital part of their lineup, Kyler. Yeah. We'd have to give an absolute haul to get Eugenio Suarez, I would think.
Yeah. I feel like you could probably make a package around Lodolo again, but I agree with you. It's going to come down to who and what value needs to be brought to the table to even like have that conversation about Suarez being reunited with us in Cincinnati.
So of all these guys, Kyler, all these guys you think about, who is the guy you think of that really could come to Cincinnati? Who's the guy because let's be honest with each other, man. The Reds aren't going to go out and make 30 moves.
Right.
They're not. They're not going to go out and make 5 moves. They're not probably going to go out and make 2 moves. They're probably going to bring in one guy. As sad as that sucks, they're probably going to bring in 1, maybe 2 guys. And one of those guys is going to be some rental arm that, we're hoping we see something, so we trade for him and hope he turns out. So if they make a splash, that's a big if. What one of these guys they go after we've talked about?
For a big splash is what you're saying? Or
if
just
they go and make a move, make a real move, who's the guy they go for?
Dude, I hope it's Robert Jr. I mean, it was already in discussions at the beginning of the season, so there's already a warm trail to kind of pick back up off of that. But I haven't seen anything about them talking to Chicago or anything. And I could have just been blind and missed it, but if you've seen something, I haven't seen anything about them having interest or any trade talks on that. But I would like Robert Jr. If we're going to make a splash. I like Stowers. I honestly didn't even think about that or any idea on his stats and all that, and he honestly would be a great pickup as well. And I like that you brought that up. I liked Bird as kind of like the bolster the rotation, but I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like the outfield, like an outfield hitter, is like my main priority for the trade deadline over the bull. I mean, the bullpen does need extra guys. Like we kind of talked about throwing the same Pete Barlow and Pagan, all those. It's just a lot of them going out, but yeah, I feel like the outfielder that can hit is like my main priority.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's got to be either Robert or Stowers. I think that it's one or the other. Yeah. I think you have to go out and get one of those guys. I want guys in the bullpen too, but if there's a priority for this team right now, Kyler, you're 100% right, man.
Yeah, it's offense and outfield. Yeah. So
we'll see what they do. By this time, it'll be next Tuesday. Hopefully they won't be waiting until the very last second to make the move. Hopefully we'll have some deals in the books, and we can reflect on guys that we've identified, see if they are also thinking the same thing. Obviously can't go over all the guys, but want to go over top about 10 guys, see what we thought about them, what it might take to get them. And hopefully they bring some guys in, and the Reds make a run, Kyler. I want to see my Reds play at baseball in October, and right now with the team we have, I just don't think we're good enough. I think we're a good team. You can see where the holes are, though, and what needs to be filled.
Yeah, and the Nationals series was a rough one. So, yeah, I feel like we need to do something. We need to acquire somebody before the trade deadline to boost up the offense. So, we'll see what happens.
We will see what happens next week, because this is all the time we have today, coming in just under 30 minutes. Kyler, real good timing today. Yeah. But guys, we will see you next week. Talk about all the acquisitions. Get back to some baseball talk about how the Reds have been playing. Wanted to focus today in on the trade deadline as we move a little bit closer. As always, for Kyler Osterberger, my beautiful co-host, and myself, rounding third and headed for home. Go Reds.